Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here today because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics today, and that is how do you actually start an online tutoring business? And in fact, I am updating my book right now, which is.
I am so excited to be here today because we're
Oh
going to be
boy,
talking
we
about one of my
got
favorite
that double
topics
thing
today,
going
and
again.
that is how do you actually start an online tutoring business?
There we go. Let's stop that. It's like you have too many screens open, and so then you get an echo. No more echo anymore. Yay! So we're going to be talking about, like I said, my favorite topic, which is like how to start an online tutoring business. And I am actually going on the 5th edition of my book of Job Security for Life and Teaching, How to Become an Online Tutor. I'm renaming it this time around. It's called How to Start an Online Tutoring Business and Get Paid What You're Worth. It's going to have a lot of the same content, but it's actually going to be broken down into simpler steps so that people can really understand, like, what is it that they need to take? What actions do they need to take in order to become an online tutor? And I've invited Terry here to join me in the conversation about starting an online tutoring business. Some of you guys might not know, but Terry just recently raised her prices because she wasn't charging enough, honestly. And she had not been charging enough for a pretty long time. And now she's charging $60 an hour for her tutoring services. And it was funny because when we chatted about this, she said that the client didn't even bat an eye. Was that the word that you used, or did I just like come?
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now you're being able to get paid what you're worth. You may even still be slightly under where you need to be, but you know what? It's all a mind game, isn't it?
It is. And I have to move up as I go. So
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what I did as well with my business. And now a lot of people, they're always wondering, like, do I need to be certified in order to become an online tutor? And what are your thoughts about that, Terry?
I totally think you do not need to be certified at all. I am because I was a teacher for 30 years, so I am certified, but there's no reason why you have to be. As long as you know your subject and you feel competent in it, I don't see why you'd need a certificate. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that, because at the end of the day, it's about the results that you can get with your students, and it's not about the amount of years that you spent in a classroom sitting down and studying content, right? It's about the actual action that you've taken to get results. And that action, while the education that I had helped prepare me to step into this role, it wasn't a necessary thing that I needed to do in order to be in this role. I've definitely learned a lot more about teaching now that I've been tutoring. Like, I feel like I've learned so much more than I knew when I was in the classroom.
Well, and honestly, nobody's ever asked me, are you certified?
Yes.
Nobody has ever asked me that, even though I am. So.
You know what? That is that's such a brilliant question, because I don't get asked that question either. People don't say, so what certifications do you have? I feel like those are the important questions we think inside of our head that people should ask, but they don't ask. What they want to know, I feel like what they want to know more of is, are you able to help my child in the area that they're struggling with? They want to know, will my child have fun while learning? They want to know, will they be able to get better grades because they're here and tutoring with you?
Right. And that goes to letting the parent do the talking. You know, when you meet somebody new, let them tell you what they need. You know, and that's how you learn what other parents would like to know too.
Yeah, it's so, the more that we can listen when they come into the situation, the better it is, because it's not about us. If you make it about you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to make it about you too. And they're going to have a lot of questions about you.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
But at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about us. Right? It's about the child. What are they struggling with, and how can we be of service to that child? And so what is the first thing that you do when you do get somebody who is interested in your tutoring services? What are some steps that you take?
With the actual parent, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is I start a conversation with them. I want to know where they're at. What are they looking for? What goals do they have for their kids? You know, because some kids need the help with gaps in math, but other ones just want to accelerate in the math. Maybe they already have an A and they just want to do better. So it's like super important that I have that conversation with them first.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And then we'll go back and forth talking about things. I usually do a free consult, and that's the time that I get to talk about that. I think you call it an assessment, but for me, it's a consult. And that's where we talk about, here's what we can do. Here's what you can expect from me. You know, and I let them ask the questions, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And that consultation leads into a sales conversation where they get to then decide, do they want to move forward with your services or not, which is absolutely fantastic. And once you can get them onto that consultation, how many people would you say move forward after you've had that consultation with them?
All. Simply all.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. Because
Because
they
a
get
lot of
to
people
meet
would
you a
be
little
like,
bit.
when you like look at rates of like success rates of closing rates in any other industry, there is no other industry that has a between a 90% to 100% closing rate when they go into a consultation.
Exactly.
Yet we are able to do that.
I actually just started doing that this year. And that's like, nobody has said anything but let's do it.
Yeah. So before you did that, did you get the same results?
Well, no,
No.
but I was a pretty good talker to get them in the door, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's always a few that don't want to do it. They're just checking things out.
That is, well, that's really cool to know that, you can have conversations and they can say no, but if you look at it as a free consultation or you do a free, like I'll do a free assessment and then I will do a consultation like right after I do the assessment so that I feel like I'm giving them useful information about their particular child and the things that I'm noticing and seeing. And then we talk about the types of results that they would like to get. And then I come up with a plan and I tell them how we're going to move forward with that plan. And then I say, are you ready to get started? They say yes, and we do it.
Yeah.
It's like, bam. It is so stinking easy and fun.
Because I think they get comfortable when the consultation, being able to see you and see your personality and see that you care about their kid. And once they know that you care about their kid, you're done. You're in, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now, another important thing, and a lot of tutors will skip this part because they are kind of going about their tutoring from a hobby perspective versus a business perspective. And so they don't come up with a business plan with their business. How important was a business plan for your business?
Well, it was pretty important. Because your business plan lays out all the steps you need to take to become successful. So,
Yeah.
when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. So I knew how to tutor and teach, but I didn't know all the marketing and business parts or the technology. So the business plan helped me put that into place and know where I needed to go. So it was helpful.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Yeah, I feel like it's like an architect, right? Like if you're going to build a house, you don't just like go grab the materials and just start building, right? Like you actually have to sit down and come up with a plan of where these materials are going to go. Like how do you want it designed? And really that's what the business plan is. It's like that blueprint that an architect creates of your house. And so it's you really dreaming and envisioning and thinking big about where do I want my tutoring business to be in the next 5 years and how am I going to get there?
Mhm.
And when you take that time to be able to map all of that out, it's really important. And Jean Harville just said that the business plan provided a lot of structure for her, which is fantastic. That's exactly what. So the rest of you who are in there, did you create a business plan? How helpful was it for you? And if you were watching this on replay, I'd love to hear your comments on that as well. And if you like content about this, like this kind of stuff, hit like, that subscribe, and that little bell so that you can be informed every time more content like this comes on out and you can stay on top of, because you know what, this tutoring industry world is changing, isn't it?
So much. You have to stay right on top of things.
You do,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of all of this, right? These lives, the calls, the constant training and staying on top of it, because that allows us to continue to have that book solid business.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is really, really awesome to be able to take into consideration. And in fact, our next conference in November is all going to be about live, all about the live process, because it is the number one like driving social media tool out there right now. So it's not about like the different social media, the actual social medias themselves, but it's about going live on those social media platforms.
That
So
sounds scary. I've never done it, right? I should do it.
You're doing it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Say you're not.
That is funny.
I've never been live. Yes, you have right now. You're live.
Girl, you're live.
And you also did a Facebook Live with Suzanne Davis, right?
I most certainly did. The wonderful Suzanne Davis. Yes.
Yes, you did. Awesome. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So, so just now we got from Elaine. She said, I am in my second year of running this business. I did create a business plan, and it really helps me to focus on the big picture instead of being bogged down with the daily stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So true, because there's so many little things that you're like, oh, I got to do this, this, and this. But then if you're never taking a look at how does this actually affect the bigger picture at the end of the day, how do you know you're spending your time on the right stuff?
Right. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed at the beginning because of all those little things you have to do.
So true. And that's like, I think that's where being in a part of a community just like this can be so helpful, because there's other people that are like, oh yeah, I totally was there too. Or yes, I'm feeling that way too. But I've seen other people go through this and they've gotten through it. So it doesn't have to be an obstacle, right? That stops you. It can just be something that is temporary and you can just walk around.
Yeah. One of the main things I got out of my business plan, when I started this, I knew I wanted to be completely online. And we have so many discussions in our groups about, oh, I don't know if I should go online. Maybe I'll just keep in person. And I knew from day one that I was going to go all online. And I put that in my business plan. Did I do it right away? No, but I did it within a couple months. Because if you set your mind to something and that's what you really want in your business plan, then you're gonna go through all those little steps you need to do to get to that. And so I pretty quickly converted right over to online. So if you want to do online, start with that intention and do the steps to get there.
And, and you started having conversations right away with your students and asking them to go online. And how did that go for you?
The kids were great. It was the parents I had to convince.
Sure.
Although I'll say this year, it's been much easier conversation. The parents are much more online. But, if the parents were really hesitant, then I would give a little free session. Yeah. And then as soon as I did that, they felt totally comfortable. So it was not, you think, oh, it's going to be impossible to get everybody to go online, but it's not impossible. Not if you want it to be that way, then you make it happen.
It's so true, because what happens is we just don't know what it's going to look like. There's a little bit of fear factor, like, could this really work as well as what you're telling me it can? And there's their fear factor. And I just experienced this with my own church. So my church now is a multi-site church. Okay. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, I'm like, well, how is this going to work? How is this going to still feel like a church? Because, we're streaming in the pastor instead of the pastor actually being there. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go forward and do this because, I care about this church and it's closer for me. So there's like a convenience factor. It's only, going to be 15 minutes away versus a half an hour away. And the very first time that I actually just sat in the room and I saw that screen come down and I saw the pastor speaking to me on the screen, the way they organized it felt like they were right there with me in the room. Like, I was totally taken out of that perspective that they weren't even standing. It felt like they were really right there.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is the same thing though that our parents go through, right? Because they're like, they just don't know what can happen or what it's going to feel like or any of that kind of stuff. They don't know the tools that we use. They don't know any of that stuff. But when they get to see it in real life and they get to see it in action, there's a whole new mindset that takes over. And they're like, why would we do this any other way? Why would I spend an additional half an hour in the car when I didn't have to?
Yeah. But, it doesn't have to be, you want all online. The other part that I made in my plan was that I wasn't going to work for any other company, that I was going to make it all on my own. Mm. And so whatever your intention is, maybe it's for you creating a course online that you can sell or whatever, right. Or, making a Facebook group or whatever it is for you, set your intention first and then figure out, okay, these are the steps I have to take to get there. And once you do that, you're going to be set to be able to do it eventually.
Yes, and you're so right on setting that intention. That is so absolutely key. I remember last January, not mentioning anything else, just last January,
Good girl.
somebody came into our group and it was a sad time and they ended up needing a little pep talk. And I said, I want you to write down how many students that you want on a Post-it note every single day. And who did that?
I did.
And what happened?
Well, it happened, is what happened.
In fact, you got 10 students in 1 week.
Yeah, I did. Good old
just,
thumbtack.
so when there was something important happened as you were writing that intention down on your Post-it note, something amazing happened for you. What was the insight that you had when you were writing down every day?
Well, when I write it down every day, and I still do it for whatever my new ones are right now, when I write it out every day, then every day I think, how am I going to get that to happen? It's not just reading it and going, oh, I wish. Oh, I wish won't make things happen. You have to take steps. So,
well, and that's such a biblical point, right? Faith without action is dead, right?
Yeah.
It's biblical. It's a spiritual law that I can have faith that something's going to happen. But if I don't actually take the action to make it happen, it's not going to go very far. But you have been taking action, which is really, really awesome. And you've been getting the results that you have wanted. So now we're going to move into talking about like a business model that we have in place. By business model, lots of things can come on up into people's minds, right? When we say business model, like, what does that mean? It means like, what does your business model look like? Now, we've talked about part of that business model for us is it's all online. Now, there are times where we can make exceptions, work with somebody in person if we choose to make that exception. But for the most part, we are all online. It gives us more freedom. And so that's one of the business models that I have put into place for my business model. The other part of my business model is how I collect payment. Now, you've just moved on to a new payment model. Tell us about how you've been doing your payments.
It's a Joanne Kaminski model. And even if I didn't name it that, which should be named that because I bugged you for almost a year about this. And that is that I do automatic payments now monthly. And so when someone comes to me and they decide to move forward, within my welcome letter, I have the links in there to pay monthly. So they just go into PayPal, they set up automatic payments, and boom, you just get your money every month. It's been pretty wonderful. If they miss a session, well, that's kind of on them to reschedule. You know, that's been a really nice part. I put a note last week that I had 5 no-shows, which was really weird. And then all 5 parents found out that their kids missed the sessions. Oh boy, they were not happy parents. So they actually just moved on and said, okay, we'll start next week. So yeah. So the automatic payments are great and you don't have to worry about stuff. It's easy to know and it just keeps happening. So it's great.
Yeah. And if they don't show up for a session, I know lots of tutors in the past, when a client didn't show up for a session, they're really bummed. And when you really get down to the bottom of it, they're bummed because they weren't getting paid for that time.
Exactly. And I had that happen to me.
You're still getting paid for that time. You feel pretty good.
Yeah, and I still reach out to them. I try to make sure I find out what's going on. And if it's something like an illness or something, I will reschedule. I'm not heartless.
Yeah.
Despite what you may think.
I've never thought of you as heartless. In fact, Terry today came to our rescue because I had put on out there, that we're doing this call, and there weren't too many people that were like stepping up to the plate, that they wanted to have the conversation. Lots of people wanted to watch the conversation, but they didn't want to be part of the conversation. But Terry stepped on up to the plate. She's like, "I'll have this conversation with you, Joanne." And so, within the last hour, we like finalized all of the details. So yeah, definitely not heartless, Miss Terry Gregg. And I do that as well. Like if they reach out and they're like, "Hey, it was Halloween." So yesterday was Halloween, right?
Right.
It was Halloween. We totally, because it was a different schedule, and this always happens when there's a different schedule. The kids are messed up. The parents are messed up. I'm always like, no worries, let's reschedule. Here's a link. And I give them a link. Now that's another part of my model is now I have a link on an automatic calendar that is set up with my personal calendar so that they can choose a time within the hours that I'm willing to work and the days that I'm willing to work. And they can choose a time on there that is available. I have to tell you, this is one of the biggest time savers that I have like instituted into my business.
Yeah, that's what I need to get going. I really need to get that going.
It is so cool because I would have to go back and forth on all these emails with people. And I tried to come up with some other solutions that did not work very well. So one of my solutions was I had my VA like have the conversation with them on how to book and do it. Like, you know, like kind of like if I had my own like tutoring center, you might talk to the secretary, right?
Right.
Right? Yeah, no, that didn't work very good because she was in a different time zone than everybody else.
Oh, oops.
So yeah, talk about like time zone nightmare. It was absolutely crazy. Finally, and so the parent would get frustrated. I'm like, okay, I like cut that one off really, really soon. I'm like, all right, that's not something that Joanne can implement. All right, so let's see what's next. And I went back to just doing it for myself until the summer. And this summer, I started just giving people a link to do the reschedule, and it has been so easy. They can actually choose their own time zone, which is really cool.
So when do you send them the link?
As soon as they tell me that they need a reschedule.
Oh, so it's as they need to reschedule. It's not like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like I like send them something and just say, hey, if you ever need to reschedule, just click here, because I really don't want them taking that action.
Oh, okay. You just want the reschedules to do that.
Only my reschedules do I want scheduling on there, because I have a very like week to week schedule on my, I have a regiment, right? Like I have students that I'm working with at certain times. I only have one student that I've been super flexible with because mom travels a lot and he's a homeschooler, and she just finds times within my schedule that work for her, and she does that. But I would not want that for every single client.
Yeah.
To be able to like have that power. Yeah. That would mess me up like mentally.
Maybe that's why I haven't done it yet. I need that mentality that you're using.
So now it's just the reschedule. It's like, yep, no problem. Here's the link. And then they go. I've never had anybody just say, oh, I'll just use the link to reschedule it. It's always they ask permission first, and then they get the link.
Gotcha.
And we move forward, which is very cool. And sometimes, depending on the student, sometimes I might just say, hey, I've got 5 o'clock tomorrow. Does that work with your schedule? You know what? Especially if it's like a Wednesday and it's for like a Thursday, because I don't take any reschedules Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. No reschedule.
Good girl.
And that is for my own sanity, because I've got a family of 3 kids, right? And so I'm trying to like run my household and the family stuff, and I'm driving everywhere all of the time with these kids. I had no idea. I was clueless. You guys, I feel like I got hit on top of the head with a sledgehammer last year. Like, I had heard that it's just different when they get older, but I couldn't experience what that different was like until I experienced it. And I was like, oh, it's different because you're driving constantly all of the time. Like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there until the day of.
Oh.
Like, okay, where do I need to be today? Because the schedule is different every single day. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, it's absolutely insane, and it's just different. You know, the little kids, they just need you a little bit more, like to like do daily activities, whereas your older kids don't need that. But the older kids, they need you in such different ways. They need you for the mental aspect of life, the different changes that are happening to them, and the things that they're experiencing that they don't know how to like. They need to have more conversations with you, which is crazy. And yeah, Elaine totally knows what I'm talking about. She's got 6 kiddos at home.
I know.
Because she says she has a family of 3 kids in another time zone. Their mother picks the times a couple of weeks ahead from my calendar. That works. That absolutely works. She says that the calendars save her too. She doesn't have to spend any time trying to figure out all that calendar nightmare. And I always, you know what I love? I love that I'm in this stage of my life because I can be so much more flexible with my with the students and the parents, because I can say, I totally get it. Don't worry. Here's a reschedule.
Right.
I'd be like, I got 3. So I totally get it. And I've been doing this since 2010. So, you know, and anything somebody throws at me, it probably has happened already.
Yeah. And I was a high school teacher, so I understand this time age too. So
you do, yeah, for sure. And so let's see, what else is part of our business model? Stuff that deals with the business model. So besides like the scheduling, the I think that mind frame of being flexible, yet at the same time having a schedule really helps for a business model. But then also having like a growth mindset for your business, like how is it that you want to grow versus stay like kind of stagnant, like, because there's still things that you need to do when you don't have students. So students are going to come and go, and there's going to be like this flux, it's kind of going to be like a little bit of a roller coaster. You don't have too many big, huge dips. You might dip down when summer begins, but for me, I dip up. It's different depending on what you tutor. Yeah. So, that's going to be very natural. So what are some things that you do when it starts to dip down? What are some of the actions you take so that you can continue to stay book solid?
Well, I mean, when I have people not show up, that's when I use the time to do the things that I can put out there online, like make a video or write a blog or check my web, update my website so I know that's accurate. Things like that. That's the best time, because you want to put those seeds out there too. Now, like you say, they're not going to come crashing in within a week, but they will down the road. I mean, that's what I learned. I've been in it a whole year, but I know what I planted last fall is coming to fruition now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing how like people will find old content that you've put out there still today. Like I still have people who find the content that I put out in 2010, still find it today and hire me for my tutoring services. So never think that your time is wasted if you don't get like immediate results from it. Sometimes good content needs to simmer a little while before it starts to boil and starts getting you the results that you're looking for. But yes, using your time well is so important, isn't it? That's what I do as well. I actually wrote, I think every single one of my books I wrote when students did not show up. And so in a way, I was getting paid double, because I was going to get paid from the book in the future that I finished, and I was getting paid from the students who didn't show up, unless of course they rescheduled. Some of them don't. Some of them just don't call back and reschedule. Yeah. Which that's fine.
But you have to think of all these things. Those are actual income streams, even if you don't get the income right away. Writing your book, maybe right now it's not going to pay anything, but it will down the road. Right. Me putting a video out may not pay for itself right now, but eventually I'll get somebody to watch it and they may hire me. So.
Exactly. And so those are really, really big things to really take into consideration, so that, there are multiple income streams that you can build into your business, and that can be part of your business model. So your business model doesn't have to be that it's just all about tutoring 100% of the time. For me, my business model is 20 hours I'm working with students. The rest of the time, which is usually about 40 hours probably in addition, I'm helping other tutors with their business, right? So that's part of my business model. And right now, Terry's business model is helping out, her students and building that on up so that she has the income that she needs to be able to, pay her bills and do all of that kind of stuff. And other people, it might be that they want to add on in that extra bit of maybe an online course that they'd like to put on out there and create. Maybe it's creating resources for teachers pay teachers that is going to get you additional income. Maybe you want to write a book on Kindle, and guess what? It's free, you guys. You don't have to pay anything to create a book. You can do it through KDP. You can have a physical hard copy book. You can have your own ebook, all of that stuff. And it's all going to make you money down the road when you finish it and you start publishing it and promoting it. So there's lots of ways that, in addition to, I was always thinking of ways, like when I first got started, how can I get paid to advertise my services? Like that was my mindset. Like, all right, what are all of the ways that I could get paid to advertise what it is that I do? One of them was like, write a book. Because in my book, I can put on the author what it is that I did, and I can get paid to do that. So yeah, it's just another kind of thing. Like it's a different entrepreneurial mindset than the, I get a job, I work my hours, I'm done, right?
Right. It's totally different.
Yeah. What have you noticed about your own mindset? Has it changed at all since you were a high school teacher?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like in every single way. Because if you're running your own business, you are in charge, which is a beautiful thing, but that's a lot of responsibility. You want to make this work. if you really want to make this work, then you have to take these actions. If I don't know how to take those actions, then I got to figure out how to take those actions. So it's this huge learning curve of everything. I've got the math down. I know how to teach, but I had to learn everything else that I'm trying to do right now. And it seems overwhelming, but you guys, you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But and in another way, I think, I love learning. So all this is new to me. And I love I'm 57. There, I've said it. I'm 57 and I'm still learning, and I'm still loving to learn. And that's part of the fun of all this, is learning every day about stuff.
Oh my gosh, there isn't a day that doesn't go by that I'm not learning about something and loving it, just like you. I just have like this innate desire to learn more about running an effective business and how to help other people run an effective business. It's just so much fun. I am having more fun in life now than I have ever had in my entire life.
Well, that's wonderful. And I love experimenting and seeing what will work and seeing what doesn't work, because that's what you have to do at the beginning, right? Because you don't know different ways of advertising, what's going to help you get found, that sort of stuff. So I love doing it. That's how I got those 10 clients at Thumbtack. I just made a big, huge experiment out of it.
Yep.
So anyway.
Absolutely. And, and that's the thing, like a lot of people don't know which actions to take. And so while there are like lots of other like business coaches out there that can give some different ideas, unless you have somebody who's actually been in the industry and you surround yourself with other people that are in the industry, you could be like throwing spaghetti at a wall for like a really long time before you figure it out. But,
exactly.
You had heard about Thumbtack like through one of our conversations we were having, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. And then bam, you tried it out and you had success, which was like super, super awesome. So it is important. Like, I love this community. I think it's the most amazing thing out there. And not just because I created it. Like, I'm not one of the people. I just think that the people inside of the community are so absolutely loving, giving. They are full of knowledge, and they love to share that knowledge, and they love to help other people out. And there aren't many communities out there that do that.
And I would be nowhere without the people that have helped me in this community. My business wouldn't be up and running without everybody that I've asked questions to, and they've kindly given me their time. And and once that happens for you, then you feel like, oh, I can give my time to other people. And it's just a beautiful circle that keeps going.
So when I started my business, I had a catchphrase, because I had heard like you needed to have like not only like a name for your business, but then like some little catchphrase to like catch people's attention. That's why it's called a catchphrase. And so I had this catchphrase of close the gap in first it was zap. Later on, I changed it to snap, because the people who put like a big logo on the back of my car screwed up and they put snap instead of zap. So then I'm like, well, I actually kind of like that one better. Like, snap. Yeah, let's do it. And everybody else that I talked to, they're like, yeah, that actually sounds way better. I'm like, hey, thanks to the error of the printing company.
That's funny.
My new catchphrase. Now you have a catchphrase as well for your business. It started off Tag Tutoring, and Tag stood for your initials, right?
Terry Ann Grigsby.
That's right. And then it got changed to.
It's still Tag Tutoring, but because of Victoria, it's now Tag Tutoring, Algebra, and Geometry. See, get it? TAG. Yeah.
I love it. I
have a feeling maybe I'm the only one that knows that it matches.
No. Now at least 8 other viewers know it.
Yeah, now 8 other people know. There will be a test later.
More people as this video goes viral, because it's just going to go viral. More people will see it, and people will definitely be able to know that you are tutoring algebra and geometry.
That's right.
But your catchphrase actually like brings up a really important point, which is that it's important to have a certain area that you are focusing on for your tutoring. Now, in the beginning, were you still only doing math tutoring?
I was always doing math tutoring, but then at the beginning, I was like every single subject known to man in math. Okay. And as the year went on, I thought, okay, I'm going to narrow this, because specializing gives me a little head up. So I got it shorter. I got rid of the pre-calculus. I got rid of the trigonometry. I got rid of the lower end, and that's how it became algebra and geometry. That doesn't mean I never tutor those people. I do, but the majority is algebra and geometry. If you come to me, you're coming to me because that's what I do best.
Yeah.
And that scares people because they think, oh, if you do that, you won't get enough people. Yes, you will. You have to
get more.
Yeah, you get more. You get more when you specialize like that, and you don't just say, I'm going to tutor everything in the world. Like this summer, I tried to do SAT tutoring, and I figured out, no, this is not for Terry. So, okay, SAT's gone, and algebra and geometry, that's it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I played with the SAT as well, just for fun, and I did not enjoy it. So I was like, well, this is ridiculous. I only want to do the stuff that I actually really enjoy and I'm really good at. So I might as well pass on those SAT folks to, an SAT tutor who is, passionate about those areas and see where it goes from there. So,
exactly.
Yeah, that definitely
How about you?
not only what's that?
How did you change from the beginning? Did you narrow what you were doing, or did it stay?
Yeah, in the beginning, I would help anybody with reading, and so I had people who asked the question, well, would you ever work with adults in reading? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess I'm not opposed to that. I would help an adult if they came across my path. And then I worked with some of the adults, and I thought, I don't really like working with adults in reading, because after every single session, they always asked me, so how am I doing? Am I better now? My kiddos never ask that question. They just do the activities, and over time they make like these amazing, very quick games.
Yeah.
But it's just a very different world mindset wise. You're dealing with all of their schedules, with their work schedule and all of that. And I just realized over time, I don't enjoy working with the adults. And I feel awful saying that because, now I help adults mostly, but it's through the online tutoring aspect, right? Like I love that. Like that is a huge passion of mine. But to help adults in reading is, while I can help any kid in reading, I just didn't enjoy that aspect of it so much.
But like you said, there's always someone that will enjoy doing that. That maybe like adults better than kids. So that's
Exactly. And that's my personality too. Like whenever people meet me, they're like, oh, you must be so good with kids, or you are so good with kids. And it's true. Like that's who I am. I'm really good with the younger kids. And so the fact that I like teaching the younger kids with the reading is a perfect fit for me. As they get a little bit older, we have to take a look at their mindset and see, okay, are they as committed to this end result as you are? Right. And if they are, I'm willing to work with them. But if they're not, then they're not my ideal client either. So I have narrowed it down quite a bit to, I'll work with kids pretty much, I work with some kids that are like 3 and 4 years old.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. But those parents want to give their kids like a heads up. They want to give them that extra little boost. And so I have right now a 5-year-old that I've been working with for the last 2 years that's reading at a 3rd grade level.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been a lot of fun, but that's been fun for me to be able to do that and see the kinds of results and see him get excited and all of that kind of stuff is so much fun for me. And then I do, my oldest kids are in 8th grade. Once they get to the high school, we are starting to talk about that the reading skills they need to be developing are that SAT and ACT. And so I start to have that conversation with parents when they approach me and their kid is in high school. I'll say, well, the best help that you're going to get at this point in time is going to be with going with somebody who can help you with the ACT or SAT, and then also incorporate those reading skills in there at the same time so that, because that's going to be your ultimate goal is that they do well, right? We have that conversation, of course, do you plan on having your kid go to college and all of that kind of stuff? If they do, then that's going to be a necessary step for them, that they get that. And then at that point, I'm not the best tutor for them anyways. They need somebody who can help them with that.
Yeah. So like, it's just so important to decide what your area is and not just spill it out to everything. I mean, I hear a lot of people in our group just say that they'll tutor anything and everything, which is fine. But then, one of the reasons you can raise your rate is because you specialize,
Right.
One of the reasons I could raise my rate was because, well, mostly because I was fully booked. And, like I also narrowed the age range like you did. I got rid of the younger kids and I got rid of the college kids.
Yeah.
And I'm fully booked. So you just have to figure out what your model is going to be for you.
Exactly. And that's going to help you then be able to come up with marketing that's going to speak directly to that, because you now know what their goals are for their child. You can start looking at the psychographics, and that's one of those things that I teach, are those psychographics, looking at what are those parents thinking, feeling, seeing, hearing, doing. What are those things that they're doing, so that you can have language that you can use to speak to them. Because the way that you're going to speak to somebody, like, I don't advertise my services for 3 and 4 year olds, right? Like, I don't even advertise for that. Like, that's just something that happens and falls into my lap and I choose to take. But I do word it for first grade up to probably 4th grade. Like, that's like the range that I am targeting my marketing towards. Because in 3rd, 4th grade, what starts to happen is the nonfiction gap starts to get even bigger for those kids who've been reading fiction all these times. And now they're switching from learning to read to reading to learn. And that's a big transition for a lot of kids because they don't know how to read the nonfiction text. So those are my favorite grades to work with and be able to close those gaps very, very quickly in that area. But I have language now to be able to do that, because I've figured that out. Before that, it's very general. General isn't going to get you clients, right? The more specific you can be, the better it's going to be for you to be able to get the clients that it is that you want to be able to get. So I'm curious, for those of you that are still here with us live, you guys are awesome. What are the areas that you specifically tutor, and have you found with your marketing that it's helped to be specific in what it is that you tutor so that students can find you? I'm curious to know for you guys. Now we're going to move on to the best online tutoring software, because lots of people, it's so funny. I get like these messages from other companies saying, "Oh, have you ever tried this tool? It's better than this tool." And I'm thinking, says who? Says you because you work for the company? Like, and I've actually had some businesses approach me and get mad because I share what I believe is the best tool out there. So I have people that will get mad because I feel that Zoom is the best online tutoring tool out there in the universe. And I will stick by that. You guys, I can get hate mail from the end of time from anybody who doesn't use Zoom. Usually I'm assuming that those people are not using Zoom, which is why they feel that whatever they have is better, right? They haven't actually gone in, they haven't actually tutored online before, but it is such an amazing tool. What are some of the things, I know you use Zoom as well, what are some of the things that you enjoy about using Zoom?
Well, first of all, just the connection, and it's so much clearer and easy to hear everybody. That's the main thing I use it for. And I use it to record my videos too. So it's just so much better quality than Skype is. So,
you know what? And I used to be known as the Skyping reading tutor. And my husband, he said to me, "Joanne, I don't think it's a good idea to call yourself the Skype reading tutor." He's like, "What if technology changes and you change?" I'm like,
true.
And I change. Like, I don't really see that as a big deal. Like, I'm just using it for keyword, purposes, really. I'm not really using it for any other purpose. But, and so when I switched over to Zoom and I got less dropped calls, that was the cincher for me. I was just like, holy cow. What it does instead, so Skype will actually hang up the call if there's any kind of like connection issue.
Right.
But what Zoom will do is they almost like freeze the picture for a second and then it comes right back. No hang up, no interruption. It's like, oh, we just had a little glitch, no big deal. Versus well, I guess we needed to take a break. Like, that's why I always had to tell my Skype students, guess we needed to take a break. Back to reading. In 3 to 4 times in even a 30-minute session.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So when I tried Zoom and I wasn't having any of those drop calls anymore, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And even Elaine in here, she's saying Zoom is the one-stop shop. It's got everything because you can share your screen.
Yeah, I was going to say that sharing the screen thing's big.
Yeah.
Like, I've used that a lot. And sometimes like kids are on computers in their math program and I can't see what they've got. And so they share their screen so I can see their problems and stuff like that. It's just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And lots of people, they love to use bit paper along with Zoom. And I'm actually going to be doing a call in the very near future with Leo. He's going to be sharing with us all of the latest and greatest things that deal with bit paper. So definitely, be on the lookout for that. It's coming on up. We haven't nailed down our date yet, but we're really close to nailing it down. So
I could not live without bit paper. I use it every single day.
and I just saw a reading tutor who was using bit paper. She sent me one of her videos and she was using bit paper and I loved how she was using it. It was so cool. So how do you use bit paper?
Well, I mean, I'm trying in math, you're doing so many problems, and it's really one of the best ways to figure out if your student's learning is to have them do the problems. So they can do the problems on the whiteboard and I can watch them as they're doing it and I can see, oh, they're making that mistake. Oh, they're making that mistake. Or, oh, they've got this down. So by having them being able to write the problems out, it's just great. And then I can bring in any problem I want to, just cut and paste it right in. And so the actual tutoring goes very smoothly because while they're working on a problem, I'm getting ready with the next problem, or I'm getting the graph ready to go, or I'm bringing something in off the internet that we should look at, So it just makes the tutoring so much smoother. And then, of course, at the end, being able to save it and send it to them. Well, then they don't have to sit there trying to copy everything down that we're doing. I just say, look, you're going to get this as soon as we're done. So you don't need to worry about that. Just pay attention here. And then it's just so much more interactive. I just love bit paper.
That is so cool. Okay, so I just had like one of those aha moments, I think. So we're going to see. Okay, so let's say you're on page 3. The student is on page 3 and they're working on a problem. You could be on page 4 uploading the next thing.
Yes.
Whoa!
Yes.
Mind blown.
Because they can't see what I'm doing if I'm not sharing my screen. So I'm off getting the next problems ready to go.
That is fantastic. I mean, talk about an amazing and see, this is a strategy that Miss Terry Grigsby is able to do so that she doesn't have to plan hours and hours outside of her tutoring time to be able to do her tutoring, right?
I hate to say this, but I don't spend any time outside of my tutoring to tutor.
Because I know inside you love it.
Oh my God, I love tutoring so much. I love it so much.
I also spend 0 time lesson planning. And I got to tell you, one of the things I absolutely hated about teaching in the classroom were the hours and hours, the useless hours of lesson planning that I had to spend. And I wasn't even writing the lesson plans really for me. I was writing them for my administration because they told me I had to. You know what? It was such a I had to look up every single objective, and we had to make sure every single lesson had one of those objectives in it. And oh my gosh, we were graded. I felt like I don't think we're actually graded on them, but I felt like I was being graded on it.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like you don't say what your experience is because nobody cares. But not having so many years in the classroom, and you too, you learn how to do things without needing lesson plans. So when I see a kid doing a math problem, I know exactly what they're doing, and I have 3 or 4 different ways to explain it to them. So, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to have 0. So if you're just starting out tutoring and you haven't done tutoring before, then you should do lesson plans. So you should have something planned ahead of time, and that's okay too. Just know it's going to take you a little more time.
Exactly. Yes. And actually that's exactly what I have created for my reading interventionist people that go through the reading interventionist program. I've created these, what's in my head pretty much, that I know if I get a kid who's struggling with fluency, or I get a kid who's struggling with phonics, or I have a kid who's struggling with comprehension, this is the kind of lesson plan format. These are the activities I'm going to do with them. I've created that for them. So it goes step by step. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can choose from to be able to do to work on the things that they are struggling with. And then we hone in on work, helping them with those skills. And that, for them to kind of see that process on paper is a necessary thing. I think as time goes on and you get more experience and you work with more kids and you start seeing, you start realizing, oh, these kids really do kind of fit into these different they kind of fit into these different categories, or you learn how they learn just a little bit better as you keep working with them. And you're like, oh, I could bring this on in to help explain it. All of that comes with time. It's going to become second nature to you. And in the future, it might not be right now, but it will happen. And you will end up, let's say 5 years, 10 years down the road, where you will not need to lesson plan at all for your tutoring because exactly what you're going to do when you're going to do it.
Yeah. So don't be discouraged if you need to do lesson plans. That's an okay thing to have to do.
Yes. And yeah, because you do want to be planned, but at the same time, you also have to build in that piece for the student, right? Because the student really is the one who's showing us what they need next. If you plan everything out so perfectly, it doesn't leave room for that. So it doesn't leave room for, well, what if they struggle with this, right? Like, you're like, oh, I got to get to that next thing on my lesson plan. Oh, I want to make sure that we finish. You don't have to worry about anybody looking over your shoulder anymore. Like, that doesn't even exist. So,
well, and that's the difference between a classroom teacher and a tutor. A classroom teacher has to go and try to hit as many different learning styles as possible. But a tutor, you have to figure out how your one student learns and then teach them that. So
exactly.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Oh, awesome stuff. So we've talked a lot of stuff today, you guys. So I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this. If you like this, please hit that like, subscribe, the little bell, so that you can stay up to date on all the latest and greatest when it comes to online tutoring, because it is our goal here on this YouTube channel and within my business to be able to help you get found, hired, and referred. And I want you guys all to have a book solid online tutoring business. So if that's your goal, then we are on the same mindset. You need to come and join us. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much, Terry, for taking some time out and chatting with me and doing all of this. I am going to get a new person in here one of these days, and we're going to go through what it looks like for somebody in the beginning stages, the things that they need to be thinking about when it comes to their business. So stay tuned. I'm going to find somebody who's going to come join me. If you're that person who wants to come join me on a call like that, message me. I would love to. Or in the comments, just type on in, me please.
It's not painful at all. It's fun.
It is not painful. Now, I've done these kinds of coaching calls with people one-on-one on Zoom and that kind of stuff, but I'm really interested in trying this out using a live session just like this to be able to help somebody think through and then have the community help us to brainstorm and think some things through to make your business go to that next level. So definitely hit me up if that's something that you'd be interested in. So you guys, thanks so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye.